And then one of the other cool things that we got from as a gift from a good friend and also
Oh
a
yeah,
guest on the show
yeah.
is the Absolute Guard print. It
Yeah.
is currently I haven't hung it up yet, so this is just a picture of it, but it's a Chun-Li and
Yeah.
Dhalsim print here. So I'm like, we're locked in, Benny. We can't change characters now.
I don't know about. I'm good. I don't know about you. You're the one always talking about. I want to play
Switching
Ken
up
and I want
I
to do
do want to
characters.
play Ken, dude.
this.
I want to play Ken.
I'm good. I might have a secondary, but as soon as my dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that and thought it was too perfect not to pick it up.
Hello, hello, and welcome to the Absolute Guard podcast. We're a competitive fighting game community podcast examining history and current events from the lens of the Arizona grassroots scene.
Yes, welcome. This is episode 87. My name is Benny. And speaking of current events, what just transpired over the weekend was Evo 2024. I did not attend, but I've been to many Evos in the past, starting in 2011, 2012. I skipped 2013, and then I went in 2014 and through 2017. And then, as always, I'm joined by my co-host John, who's pretty much a Evo vet and has been going for how long now, John?
I think about 14 years. I think I skipped 1 year, and then obviously they had the pandemic year, but I've been going for quite a long time since Street Fighter 4.
Sweet, sweet. And then today we got a new guest today, long time listener, first time guest. We've got Cody, aka Honorable. How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Cool,
This
cool.
was my first Evo.
Nice. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's something that we wanted to explore today, just because like I not me not being attendance, I had the stream experience, John being a vet and being able to see like the different things that have happened at Evo in that 13, 14 years that he's been going. And then we have somebody that's, first time visitor to Evo, get the perspective of what that's like, especially nowadays with how much it's grown. Like I remember my first Evo back in 2011, and it's just like I thought it was massive then, seeing all the people that, played fighting games, and like it's nothing compared to today.
I can totally agree with that. Just the numbers, the sheer number of people, like they're significantly larger than it used to be. And to be quite frank, that was uh the kind of the black cloud over everything is that the bigger it gets, the harder it gets to, or the further away we get from how it used to be. And so, like, I felt that this Evo was did a lot to address that population issue. Blessing and a
Yeah, there's
curse, I
quite.
think.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like, there's definitely some growing pains and some things, just as things have gotten bigger, or I guess more esports or more corporate, as people like to say.
Oh yeah.
Definitely lose some of that grassroots stuff, but yeah, it looks like they're trying to get some of that back, especially since the Hado's taken over Evo in the last couple years.
Yeah. And we've had this will be like the third episode we've talked about Evo this year, right? So we've kind of gone through we went through our concerns about it early on, and like the venue change, the increase in price, the forced finals cost, I suppose. And now that we've actually gotten to enjoy those amenities and understand like where that money went, I think my perspective, I feel like I'm a lot more willing to accept the changes that were taking place, and I can go into length about my experience there at some point. But right, overall, I had a positive experience at Evo.
Yeah,
Nice.
for my first one, it was definitely I because listening to like you talk about it, I had some concerns going into it. I was like, okay, maybe first Evo, maybe this isn't going to be what I think it is.
Yeah.
But overall, that was probably the most fun I've had in a long time.
Nice. Yes, just to clarify, so have you ever been to like any of the other majors at all? Combo Breaker, CEO, anything like that?
No, no, this is
No, so
this
this
was
is
my
like the
first
first.
major.
Nice,
Ooh.
nice. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
I think that's one thing, especially nowadays. Like you gotta kind of, I don't want to say like temper your expectations, but it's just like you can't get yourself like overhyped about things. Like that's one of my biggest pet peeves with people when it's about anything, whether it's my first time trying In and Out and like you're expecting, mind blowing, taste bud extravaganza, and it's not that, right? And it's just like I could understand you kind of having some reservations, like, from hearing us talk about it or John talk about it in particular. And it's just like, you don't want to like be down about it before you go, but it's just like you don't want to be like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and then be disappointed at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
hella doom and gloom to everything there, so I get it.
so funnily enough, like the first time I was gonna go to Evo was the year the pandemic happened. Like
Ah,
2020 was gonna be the year I went to Evo, and like I even made a joke beforehand because like it was starting to pick up, like in middle of February, early March, and I said I'm like, man, I can't wait to go to Evo unless this coronavirus just gets worse and shuts everything down. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, everything shuts down. So I'm like, well, shit, there goes all my plans for like the rest of summer.
Yeah.
And then turns into a couple years. And then but yeah, like overall, like it exceeded what my expectations were for 2020 even. Like cuz 2020 I was hyping it up to be like the best thing ever and all this.
Yeah.
And then this year like I enjoyed every like minute of it really.
yeah. If I could,
From
like dig a little deeper on that one. So, those expectations that you had in 2020.
sorry.
Ooh, where did those ultimately come from? Like when did you start watching Evo? Like what kind of
So
informed that initial expectation?
so the initial expectation was like I was gonna go with a group of friends, like all my close friends. This was before I really got into like our current Discord. Like it was just gonna be me and three buddies. We were gonna split a room, go experience it because like watching it on stream, it looks cool. It looks like a convention mixed with a fighting game tournament, and I wanted to experience like Artist Alley and like other stage games. And to me, I love watching fighting games. To me, that's the most exciting part of it outside of competing. Competing wasn't like high on my list, but now competing's kind of like number one. But when I first started, I'm like, man, I just want to go watch good games. That's really all it was, and experience the crowd. Because I think the best Evo I watched was like 2016 or 2017 with Tokido and Punk in grand finals.
Oh yeah, 2017.
Yeah. And that was I was like, I gotta go at least once
Yeah,
just to experience it.
that was my
And then,
favorite top 8 run of all time in any Evo game ever. It
yeah,
was
it was
so cool, man.
like because I think I just picked up Street Fighter and I was like wanting to learn Akuma, so I was like really following Tokido, trying to learn stuff off of him, and then watching him just kind of roll over Punk in the grand finals. I'm like, man, that's sick. I can't tell you how many times I tried to taunt kill somebody and never
Oh
be
man,
able to do it.
that is poetic, dude. And then like prior to that, his run up to Punk where we fought F Champ and he like showed like the V skill parry tech on a V reversal for the first
Mhm.
time. Oh man, like, and then again he was the underdog. He was the guy that never won Street Fighter all the way from back in Street Fighter 4. The game was brand new. Everyone thought Akuma was ass. Everyone thought Punk was gonna win. Tokido was starting in losers as he washed up. Like, oh man, that narrative, everything about that was perfect. Unless you were a big Punk fan, then it wasn't perfect. But then,
Yeah. Like
you know,
it felt similar to like this year where Punk was the only US representative against basically like what 5 different countries, or no, 4 different countries, the Japan having their reps.
Yep.
So I
second
feel
year in
like
a
the
row
crowd
too.
yeah, I feel like the crowd could really get behind him at least for that. So
Agree.
Yeah, it's funny that that's your pivot point because, like I said, like in the beginning, like that was the last Evo I went to was 2017, and that's I brought my nephew and my son into the arena to watch the finals, and I remember my nephew, he was rooting for Punk, and it's just like for this Evo to be your first one, and like like you said, like you wanted to go see and experience what that was, and like I was just thinking about that earlier today. Was just like I remember going to that last Evo and like the first, seeing Punk, seeing the like the emotion when he lost, and then for it to kind of come full circle with this Evo, and then
Yeah.
it being your first Evo too, and I'm just like, yeah, it's just crazy to me because like I didn't think about like that length of time. Like he's won other tournaments here and there, but that's the one that's like eluded him for basically 7 years,
It's
six
eluded
7 years.
America
yeah,
Yeah,
for its entirety, minus like Snake Eyes with HDR, right? Any
yeah,
Street Fighter game, like America never wins. So,
yeah,
well,
yeah. Because it was like just Justin Wong was a second place at 2009, right? And
yeah.
then Ricky Ortiz at 2010. was second place. So it was just like, yeah, like that was the closest that they got. Punk got the second place against Taquito, and it's just like, man, like they can't get over the hump.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
yeah, it's just like in terms of the in terms of the Evo itself, like where did you guys end up staying? Like both of you guys.
So I ended up staying. I was originally going to stay at Westgate, but I got a pretty good deal over at Circus Circus, which my thought process is like, I'm not going to be spending much time at the hotel. I'm just kind of there to go and
Yeah,
experience the convention and maybe go out to eat afterwards. Like if you're
yeah,
going for that, Circus Circus is fine, but if you're going there for a good experience, I don't recommend Circus Circus. It's like
yeah. It's yeah.
it's lost its glamour from when I was a kid. Because like this, on top of this being my first Evo, this is my first time going to Vegas as an adult. Really, like I've
Oh,
driven through it a
really?
couple. Yeah, I've driven through it a couple times, but I've never like gone and like for a weekend.
Wow,
So
I got
I don't recommend going to Circus Circus as an adult for a Vegas weekend. If you got family,
you.
it's
Yeah,
fine, but
yeah.
as an adult,
Definitely a kid's place. Like, yeah, usually if you do hotel searches, that's one of the top ones that comes up as one of the cheaper spots. But like you said, I mean, if it's literally there just kind of as a bed and for you to kind of like store your stuff, like, that's all you need it for, right? Like
exactly.
you're not there to hang out at the pool and take care, use the amenities and stuff at the hotel. Like, why does that even matter?
Yeah, because I was up at like 8:30 every morning, just out the
Yeah.
door, heading to the convention. That's all it was for me. And then I was getting home like I think the first night is the one night that I didn't stay until close.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm. I mean, I think the distance from hotel to venue is always like a really contentious thing, right? Like
yeah.
past Evos, I think one year I remember they said that the Evo was in Paris, but in reality it was in the Mandalay Bay Convention Center, and that made all the difference because we had to walk all the way fucking there. So it was
Oh no, that was the Bally's thing. That was like the
oh, it's
Paris Bally's.
Bally's. Yeah, you're right, it's
Yeah,
Bally's.
because
My bad.
they're connected. Yeah, they're connected. But like, yeah, you had to like walk through like the whole other hotel to get there.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Yeah, so
as far as like which hotel I stayed at, I actually, because I'm running the stream, I have the ability to pull some pictures up. So I'm watching very closely, scrolling through my camera roll here, and hoping that all these are of the hotel. But yeah, we originally we heard about the Westgate being the hotel of choice, and I remember what the Westgate was like in 20. I think it was 2014,
I
2015,
think it's six. I think it's 16.
16. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
16.
yeah. You're right. And that was awful. And so, my wife was very much like, I don't want to stay at the Westgate as well. So we booked at Resorts World, and we booked at the Hilton because the Conrad was booked up. And then when we got there, we were told because my wife's a Hilton's Honors member, we were upgraded to a suite at the Conrad, so with like a strip view and
Nice.
everything like that. So everything
That's
turned out
cool.
awesome. I took a bunch of pictures, and I'm gonna scroll through them on the stream right now. Like this is the bedroom, right? But in reality, it was a two bed or it was a one bed, two bathroom, and a like a family room area suite. So like
Yeah, you had that like that sauna shower.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
good.
So this is the shower. It's got a bench in it, and then not pictured is like above it. They had one of those ceiling fountains, where it's like a waterfall coming down on you. I don't like doing that. I don't want to get. I don't. It's weird to me. Big ass bathtub. This is the bathroom itself, but it has two entrances. Um, and then this is like the living room area. I didn't even take a picture of the other bathroom because I didn't even realize it was another bathroom until way later in the trip. But like a couch and a chase and like all this again a view of the strip. So like I was actually super happy about the Conrad. I thought it was an awesome, uh, just fortunate upgrade. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of funny because one of my old FGC mentors, Rick Dog, he taught me when I was in my early 20s how to do the sandwich trick at the hotel,
Yeah.
where you give them your driver's license and a credit card, but then you slip a 20 in there or a 50 or whatever the hell it's gambling in a lot of ways because then you say, hey, are there any complimentary upgrades? And they'll either tell you yes or no and pocket that money, or give it back to
Yeah.
you, or just pocket it and be like, hey, screw you, too bad. um, but so it is like it's a lot like casino, but I
Yeah.
remember talking to Rick about that. He would just get the nicest suites. One at the Westgate, actually. He had a really nice suite at the Westgate that one year. And what was cool is that we didn't even have to do that because my wife just happens to have the plug. So very fortunate to be able to do that. And then the beauty of that hotel, um, I'll be candid. I think most of like the high level influencers in the FGC were staying at that hotel. Like I kept running into
Mm-hmm.
like Wong or the Cannon brothers or like Tasty
Mm-hmm.
Steve was out there, Nerd Josh. I just saw everybody at Resort World Casino constantly. Um, but the
Wow.
cool thing is that it had this access to the Vegas Loop, which is basically like an underground series of tunnels that they drive Teslas around, and then it exits, like the ramp will actually exit directly at the convention center. So
Oh, really?
that walk from your hotel room through Mandalay Bay and through the casino and through the convention center that we had to do last year, completely mitigated because I just walked from my hotel to the loop stop, which was again at the hotel. It's like
Yeah.
in the district area, which is like the shopping area of the hotel. And then a
Mm-hmm.
Tesla would just pick my ass up and drive me to the convention center underground, so I avoided the heat entirely, pop up outside the convention center, and then I would just walk right in. So
Wow.
I actually think I walked less this year, despite my hotel being physically further from the venue, which was my main concern when I was doom and
Yeah.
glooming last couple weeks about this event, being like, I don't want to walk through the heat, and it was so far, and I'm like, because it translates to like, oh, if once I get to the venue, I'm not leaving. Like that's the only place that I can be for the entire fucking day, because if I try to come and
Yeah.
go, it's too far, right? That's the problem with a convention center, particularly one across so far from the strip. But that
Yeah.
Vegas loop fixed everything for me on that regard, to the point where it is
Yeah.
objectively better for me at least. Circus, I think you had a tougher
Yeah,
time because you actually had
it
to
was
drive over,
a
right?
short walk. The worst part was just like I had to navigate through the hotel to
Mm-hmm.
get to
Mm-hmm.
the end, like the exit that was closest to the convention center. It's not like I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to walk through the heat around the building. I could have gone out the exit
Yeah.
closest to my hotel, but I'm like, I'll just walk through the casino and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like the walk wasn't bad. Like I think the distance between Westgate and the convention center and Circus in the convention center are the same, so it wasn't terrible, and I saved
Yeah.
a
That's
couple $100.
nice. Yeah. That's one of the things like we were talking about in terms of like the location, because like they've been at the convention center before. That was in 2016, and then yeah, that was one of the I guess kind of positive and negatives, right? Because the positive thing is you can kind of stay wherever you want, but then the downside to that is like you got to find your way to the venue. Like it's not part of the hotel, right? Like typically the Evo Hotel, or in the past couple of years was Mandalay Bay, and then you could stay at Mandalay Bay, be right there, or you could stay at the Luxor, which is connected in between, or what Scott did and a lot of other people do, stay at Excalibur, which is like the next hotel over, and it's still you're still relatively close. So it's a different experience. Like I didn't know about that whole Vegas loop thing. It's John's actually showing it on the stream right now, and like I didn't know about that whole thing at all. That's actually pretty awesome, and
Yeah,
the
I've
fact
got
that you get dropped off like right there, avoid all the heat, like you said.
yeah, like the underground tunnels are like lit up in different fancy little colors too to make you feel like you're not, about to uh, be claustrophobic and stuff like that. It's got the
Riding in a
Vegas
mine
touch.
cart.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
convinced that like this is the Hyperloop that everyone was talking about that Elon Musk was working on, and all it really is just the repurposed sewer drains and that you drive some Teslas
Mm.
through. But man, was that convenient. And there's a whole kiosk system too to book. All you really do, you scan a QR code, you bypass on your phone, that gives you a QR code. You give that to your the attendants up front, and they say, "All right, just get in this car," and that's it. It's
Oh
really
man,
cool.
yeah, because yeah, like I said, like I didn't know anything about that, and like I frequent Vegas all the time, visit family there. I was actually just there a couple weeks before Evo,
Yeah.
for July 4th to see family. So, um, yeah, to see that, that's pretty awesome. So does it connect to like, do you know the other hotels it connects to, or is it just like a general like?
So I think that's the drawback of it is that it really only goes to the convention center and then one other place that I know of, and that I think it goes to another Vegas hotel that has a monorail stop. So it's not connected to the rest of Vegas really, but you can use
Mm,
it to jump on the monorail. Um,
okay,
and I
and then get
like I think
connected
it'll
that
dump
way.
you on the strip for sure. And the other side of it is that like it doesn't operate 24/7. It's like for specific events. So there was an event at the convention center, so the city arranged for this to actually be in operation at that time.
Ah,
Yeah, super cool.
nice. Yeah, so in terms of Evo itself, Cody, like besides the FGC group, the AZ group that you went with, did you have any other friends that went to Evo as well, or was it just the FGC group?
Yeah, I rode down with two of my personal friends. They came day 1 and day 3, and
Okay.
they went and did like normal Vegas stuff day 2, and then but yeah, they tagged along and they actually really enjoyed it. They got more excited to try out Street Fighter, which is exciting for me because I think they live like right down the street from TGZ. So if I can convince them to like just swing by when they're available and just like learn the game more, I think that'd be really beneficial for them. But
Yeah,
they're both like wanting to play the game more and get into it more, which is exciting for me because that means more people I can play with. And
yeah.
uh, yeah, they loved it. They had a lot of fun, at least from what they've told me. They haven't told me anything different.
No, that's awesome. Like, yeah, that's one of the things. Like with my gaming friend group, it was always like we play shooters, and then like I could never get anybody to play fighting games. So it's just like that's why like as I got away and stopped playing shooters, and I started playing Street Fighter more. I've always played a lot of Street Fighter, and it's just like I kind of gravitated towards that group because like this is what I want to play, and it's just like. But I had one of my other friends like he hates fighting games because his big brother used to like pick on him when he was little and just whoop on him, and he's just like he just never had fun growing up playing them, and he's that's like to this day he just hates them, and I'm just like, man, like you can always learn something else. Like, nah, it's okay. He'll play Smash Brothers, like he's really big into Smash, but then like
Yeah.
any other fighting games, like he doesn't care about it. It's like,
Luckily, a lot of my friends like they're into Street Fighter enough to where they're interested. Like my roommate, he plays Street Fighter, but he's one of those people he would much rather play against friends. He doesn't want to play online and hop on ranked or anything like that.
yeah,
And then I have another friend who just had a kid, so he can't put a whole lot of time into it. And then one works nights, so it's just hard to kind of find a time to play with them. So getting
yeah.
them to go to Evo and hopefully get more excited to want to play the game more and have fun is what I was really hoping for, and it seemed like it did the job.
What
I've
were your kind of like your first impressions like kind of going into like the convention hall? Because I remember the first like the that was what 2015, the first year Street Fighter 5, or was it 2015 or 2016?
uh
It's
No, it would have been
2016 for Street
yeah, it would
Fighter
have been
5.
2016. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember going into the convention compared to like the typical like hotel ballrooms and stuff. Like that was like holy shit, there's a lot of space in here, and there's you know so much going on. So what kind of were your
yeah.
like your first impressions going into there?
So my initial present like impression wasn't great with Evo in general. So we got there Thursday and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go get my badge beforehand so I don't got to worry about it in the morning." I
Mhm.
get there. So this is my first Evo, so I was like, "I'll get a shirt, a custom badge, all the works basically." I get there and they're like I'm in line for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm seeing people come and go trying to like just getting out of there. And I'm like, what the hell's taking so long? They could not find my custom badge. They looked all over and I
Oh,
was like, well shit, that sucks. I mean, I wasn't gonna be an asshole about it. I'm sure they were busy enough. So
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll just take a refund. I'll get it next year, no big deal.
yeah,
So then the next day I woke up at around 8:30. I didn't know what time the venue started. I'm like, I'll just get there around like 8:30, no big deal. Apparently the venue started at 8:30 or opened at 8:30. I walked in, there's a line, and this line is fucking long. Like it
yeah,
is looping around the whole convention center, and that puts me in a worry. I'm like, is this going to be an everyday thing?
yeah.
But the line actually moved pretty quick. I think I got in line around 8:45, and I was in the venue by 9:20.
Oh wow,
That's not bad.
Yeah, so it moved really quick for like at least the length that it was.
that's awesome.
Uh, and then I got in there, and the first thing I wanted to do was run to the 2XKO booth and just sign up
Yeah,
for that Alpha Lab thing.
yeah,
Uh, so I walked around the convention center for a second, and then I ran into Swift Milk, and then me and him played some 2XKO for a minute before one of our pools started. But overall, like I thought the area for pools was massive. Like
yeah.
it was huge. And then they had like all the stages around it, which I thought were actually kind of small, but that I'm only viewing it from home. I don't know how big they normally are. And then they had
Yeah,
like a main event stage kind of thing that they were doing like showcasing for.
oh wow.
Yeah, they did
Yeah,
like a bunch of showcasing stuff day one at least, and then Artist Alley was pretty big too, that I am aware of.
yeah. John just put a picture up. Yeah, yeah, because like like that's one of the things like in the older Evos with the ballrooms and stuff was just like, especially around the pools, like it can get cramped. I mean, it's still gonna get cramped, especially as things wind down, because like you're huddled around, a four setup table, right? And it's just like everybody wants to get see everything in person or whatever, be next to their friends and stuff. But like
Yeah.
that initial, you know, 5,000 person pool, obviously not everybody's there at once, but yeah, just that the more space there is, the better. So like to see how spacious it is, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, in a lot of ways, that really was what everybody was there all at once. That was the problem. And my experience with lines this year, like to hear that line went by in like 30 minutes. In the past, it's been like 2 or 3 hour lines for pickup, not even like actually trying to get in the venue.
Mm,
And then I remember like photos from last year where it was like the line went from to get into the convention center wound all the way back to the elevators of the hotel. Like it was really far. And
yeah,
we're talking like I think like people couldn't get in until like 10 a.m. and they had to like rush people in to be able to get them into their pools on time, or like have
yeah,
like special like entrances or whatever. And I showed up at 11 a.m. on day one, and like uh, I didn't, or no, 10:30, and I didn't wait. Like I just walked right in. There was no line for me.
mhm.
So that's a testament to how much space they have, but also a testament to how well the lines have been organized compared to last year.
yeah. I remember hearing that. I think it was last year, where it was just like, yeah, typically like they open the doors and it's just like they want to do their security checks and stuff, and then it was just like everybody starts to panic and just like, am I gonna make my pool in time? And then
Yeah,
it's a matter of like, hey, if you've got 10 a.m. pools or whatever, you raise your hand. Let me check whatever, and we'll get you through first, like priority access kind of thing.
yeah. None of
So,
that concern or anxiety on my end of this trip, as well as like the security itself. Like I still have like a little concerns given the current political climate. But the security, you just kind of walk through it, and they didn't check any of my bags ever. So
yeah,
I was
that
like, I
was
don't know if
that
that's theater or.
that was gonna be my next thing. I'm like, security seemed pretty laxed. Like,
Yeah.
you could just walk in and out, no big deal. Like,
Did you see the K9 unit though? They had a dog. I saw
yeah, I
that
saw
guy.
them
Oh,
day
really?
one. I didn't see him any other time.
Yeah.
Huh.
But like after my first entrance, I never had my bag checked once. Which I'm like, I feel like this is kind of a convention where like having a weird shaped box is kind of scary. You'd think
Yeah,
Yes.
you'd check it a little bit more.
yeah,
But I mean nothing happened, thankfully.
Yeah.
yeah,
I just think we're at a heightened time right now in terms of like just shootings and political violence in the country. So it's just we're just naturally more sensitive to that, especially with a big crowd. Um,
yeah.
but no, everything seemed like it turned out okay as far as lines go. So
But I want to go back to crowds. So my pool had Angry Bird in it.
mhm.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was like one thing I was kind of worried about was like, was there going to be a big ass crowd like huddled around our pool, like just to watch
Yeah,
Angry Bird play? But luckily enough, there wasn't like there was a decent sized crowd in comparison to like everybody else's pool, but
yeah, yeah,
there wasn't anybody, like, it wasn't like a massive crowd.
A
yeah,
lot of it has to do with the fact that there's just so many top players playing at the same time that there's no single crowd that you can be a part of. Like
Yeah.
everyone's spread out because maybe
yeah,
Daigo is playing somewhere else.
yeah. Yeah, and yeah, it's funny you bring up Daigo because that's what I was thinking of too back in 2014 when he was in my pool, and then before we played on stream was just like I remember like he had his like his own cameraman or media team around him, and translator and whatnot. And it's
Yep.
just like then of course you have all the fans and stuff that want to see him firsthand and sit next to him or stand next to him and watch him play and stuff like that. So it's just like you're gonna get that with pretty much like any of the top players because everybody knows where the pools are or what pool they're playing at. Everybody has access to check on that, and it's just like, oh, he's gonna be here. We should go watch him play. Those
Yeah.
kind of things.
I saw
So
more of Daigo this weekend than usual Evos, like because Flappy actually played Daigo in pools, so I
Yeah.
got front row. I didn't actually have to fight that crowd very much either for Daigo of all people. Um,
yeah,
and then like yeah, like Sam's dad always goes with him too, so he was right there with the camera, and I had a good spot and everything. Shout outs to Flappy's dad, by the way. He's one of the coolest dads in the
Yeah.
FGC that I've ever met. He's just so supportive of his son.
I'm assuming he goes with them to all of their majors, right?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, have supportive parents and that kind of stuff is really cool. It's just like, um, yeah, I don't know. To me, I think it's just a great thing to see, especially like growing up. There's always that stigma about video games and you're wasting
Yeah.
your time and blah blah blah.
No,
Yeah,
it's like that supportive dad who would like hit the road with his son like playing baseball or something, like part of the
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just so cool.
It was
yeah,
my mom growing up. She was like, "Oh, you're wasting your time, yada yada." And like as
Oh
I've
yeah.
gotten
yeah,
older, like she sees how much like happy it made. Like the friends that I have now, I wouldn't have unless it was for video games. So it's like
yeah,
she completely
exactly.
understands like going to these things just for enjoyment. She may not
Yeah,
understand it, but she's cool with it.
yeah. That was
My
always the thing.
parents have
Oh, and
even kind of softened it on a little bit too, because they were like, they're very much not like, oh, we support your hobby. They're more like, did you win?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll take that at least though,
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the thing too. Like when it comes from like the more like casual people, the people that don't understand. Like when I remember telling them initially, like when I was first going to Evo, and they're just like, I came back and they're just like, "Oh, did you win?" And I was just like, "What?" I was like, "No, there's like thousands of people over there." I was just like,
Yeah.
I was just hoping to go like 2-2. Oh
Nowadays I
man.
just show them pictures so they actually get a better context of what this event actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of what about in terms of like your guys' actual? Because like John, we talked about that in the show last week with Maynard in terms of kind of like your expectations of what you were wanting to do as a player there. So tell me a little bit about how that went, and then we'll talk to Cody about that too. So what about how did your run go, John, and how'd you feel about it?
Um, I think no matter what, I was always going to be disappointed because I don't think I was going to match what I got last year. I got 65th out of 7,000 last year. This year I
Mm,
got 193rd out of 5,000, so it is objectively worse. But the playing field was significantly more difficult to fight against. Like I didn't have
yeah.
like the first pool was like I qualified out of my first pool, so I played 3 matches. I had top seed.
Mhm.
I had a really strong path out of that pool, so it was pretty straightforward. Um, and then the second pool, I got pretty far. I got to the qualifying match to get out. But sorry, I played a couple matches, then I lost to a Japanese player named Yuto. He's a
Yeah.
2200 MR Kami from Japan, and I
Oh,
have
okay.
not lost on the ground that badly in a very very long time. Like since I played Machabo last year, like
Oh,
I've lost for sure. Like people have beaten me, but like not as absolutely as that was, and I was shocked to see like how quickly he picked up on my habits. So like
mm,
I legit got outplayed there, and I don't think I would have won even if I had been more prepared. I just the gap was too big. And then I progressed through the loser side, and I got to the finals there, and I played somebody named Walnut Con, who played Manon, and
yeah.
I ate a lot of command grabs early on. I for some reason would like chose not to use my fireball game as heavily as I should have in that matchup.
Yeah.
And he got momentum on me and beat me. I didn't get scrubbed out, but we do recognize
Yeah.
that the Manon matchup it's less forgiving if you make a couple mistakes. um,
Yeah.
so I just wasn't ready for all that. And to kudos to Walnut Con. He's a pretty good player from Canada. Apparently, he upset a couple other people at DreamHack last year. So it's not like I
Oh,
got
nice.
scrubbed out by any means.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
you know
So I
I
think.
oh go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna say, I think in your path right before that was you played. I went to Evo. Was that the Jamie player that I was thinking it was? Did they play Jamie?
Yeah, he played Jamie. Yeah.
Okay, so that's who I figured. I don't know. The first time I saw their name in ranked, and I was like, I went to Evo, and I was just like, oh, good for you. And I was like extra voted to like beat them.
Oh yeah, I just
So like
assumed
when
it
I
was a
saw him in
casual
your path,
player.
I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw him in your path, I was just like, I wonder if John's gonna play him.
Yeah, no, I played a couple different people. There's one guy I played in my first pool where I was talking during his one of his other matches, and he like overheard what I was saying, and he introduced himself to me as one of the top third strike players in North America for Akuma. And I was like, that's a
Oh,
very interesting way to introduce yourself to somebody. Um, and uh, then like I learned a little bit more about him. Like apparently he's 21, so I'm like, okay, so he's a pandemic third strike player.
yeah,
That
yeah.
generation.
No.
But any third strike player will tell you that they've been playing that game for forever, right?
Yeah.
And Yeah, and then this player also when he won his match to get to me, he hit him with the hey, can I talk to you about your character? Like right after he won,
Oh
which
wow.
is the competitive faux pas. So I got to see a little bit of like I'm I'm 37 now, or I'm turning 37 this year, and I'm like, okay, so I understand a little bit more about how these 20-year-olds are starting to like learn how to socialize in a competitive environment, and I found that to be kind of intriguing. We got to see that with some of our own locals too, how they grew at a competitive level. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was probably like the most notable opponent at that in that first pool that I had, just because of the personality. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, other than that, I didn't really have any close matches. I guess. I
Okay.
guess the Manon match went down to the last game, but I
Okay.
fundamentally like it was. I kind of know where I stand now. If they're Japanese,
Yeah.
I'm dead, basically.
Yeah, because you had to play Kawano what last or was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, dude. And in casuals, I played a bunch of different Japanese players. I got fucked by a modern Honda 3-5. Uh, it was tough. Those guys are really good, and I felt like I was lacking something pretty big, and I think I know now, but we can talk about that at a later date.
Okay, yeah. And then the last thing was with the Walnut Con player. Like I remember, like when I was looking at the bracket, and I was like, this is who John's playing next, and like I looked up whatever I could real quick. Like I think CFN was showing Chun Li, and then like on
Oh,
Start GG it
yeah.
shows Start GG. It links to you can link your Twitter. So I was like, I went to his Twitter. I started scrolling through his feed, and I was just like, oh, he plays Mono. I was like, oh man. I was just like, I'm pretty sure he's not going to play Chun Li. But
There was a
yeah,
whole
so
deal about that actually, because the match, because I finished my match earlier, and so I got to watch the match. They tell you, oh, you're gonna play the winner of this setup, right? And so it was
yeah,
Walnut
yeah,
Khan versus a JP player. So he was playing Chun. So I was watching that match very closely, being like, I'm gonna play the mirror. Um,
yeah.
and then he told me afterwards he knew who I was, and he said he wasn't gonna play me in the mirror because he knew that
Uh,
he knew of my Chun, and that was flattering, but also like now I have like this other side of the competition that I need to talk to some of my friends about. Like, how do you cope with, or how do you deal with it when somebody knows you in advance, but you can't
yeah,
possibly know them. Um,
yeah.
it's a good problem to have in a lot of ways, but like it's a new one for me for sure.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, I know some people, especially, you try to bracket scout, especially like your first bracket, right? You're not really gonna look into that second round bracket, right? Because like at that point, you're kind of just like, yeah, I'm gonna make it this far.
Yeah.
You're at least gonna look at the first bracket. The second bracket's kind of a toss up because you don't know what the hell's gonna happen in the the other pools and stuff. And like I remember always like trying to scout, and then like I know some people get worried about it, change their names and stuff. But I'm like, I'm AK Grandmaster B like on everything. YouTube, on Instagram. Like Instagram has a bunch of Street Fighter clips. Like there's no way that, if you look me up, if you look that up, it's probably gonna pull up something like that. And like you're gonna find something. So I'm at the point, like if I went to a competition, like you're gonna know who I am. And I'm not gonna care. So I'm like, you gotta learn how to fight me live anyway.
It's a different era, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was outright told last year as well that like they looked up my replays, and then also looked at the footage from Defend the North. So I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That's the
It's a
other thing
humble
too. Like
brag.
the online replays, right? Like before, you'd have to like scour tournament footage and like see, oh, where's this guy from? Oh, he's from Massachusetts. Oh, this is their locals. Let me see if there's stuff in the streams. Now it's like, what's a CFN? Now I can break down like everything. You could look at somebody's stats, like how often does this guy parry? How often does he DI and all that stuff? Oh, he's in the corner 80% of the time. Oh yeah, we're taking him there.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, I get it. I'm still undercover. Like I haven't changed my shit back because we have a Colorado exhibition coming up too,
Yeah.
and World Warrior
yeah,
on Wednesday or tomorrow. Like there's
yeah.
plenty of reasons to stay in the
I
shadows at
forgot.
this
I
point.
forgot. I did register for World Warrior, but I can't do it. I got a flight lesson tomorrow. So I
Ah,
think somebody said like if you don't check in, I think it auto takes you out of the bracket or something. I don't know.
Benny
but
just stays
we'll
in the
see.
air all day.
Yeah. So what about you, Cody? How was your first major tournament experience? And what were what I guess first what were your going in? What were your kind of like your expectations for yourself, or what were you wanting to accomplish? And then like how did things go?
So originally, when I first signed up for Evo, I was still playing Marissa, and so I'm like, my goal is to make it to day 2. Just
Mm.
this is my first time. I'm like, I feel confident in my character, and I was like, okay, I can make it out of day 2, make it to day 2, and see how I do there. But then I switched to Bison, and I only have like about 3.5 weeks on the character,
Mm.
and I stuck with him. And so my expectations kind of shifted. I was like, I'm gonna do my best. Like that was just gonna be the ultimate thing. Like I'm gonna if I go 2, it's fine as long as I feel somewhat okay with how I played. I
Mm.
ended up going 2-2. I lost
Nice.
in winners finals and losers finals to get out of pools. So
Ah.
I first game was against like an Akuma, and nerves almost killed me. I'm like my hands were shaking. I was dropping shit. And game 2 was like a bison mirror, and I just kind of rolled over him, and like that kind of settled the nerves going into the winners finals match. And then I think both my winners finals match went like final game. I went 2-1 both of them. And looking back at the one in winners finals, I'm like, I should have won that. Like I was up a round in the second game that I after I had already won the first game, and I'm like, and I did something stupid, and I ate a super, and it just shifted all momentum, at least of that game. And third game or like the final game was against the DJ. Game 1 he rolled me. Game 2 I rolled him, and then game 3 I think he rolled me.
Yeah.
So, but overall, like I was happy with how I played until I rewatched the match for winners finals. I was like, I should have won that. But
Yeah.
but overall, I'm like I'm happy with how I did. It could have been worse. I could have lost to that Akuma game 1, and then just everything went downhill from there.
Yeah,
But
those tournators, man. It's weird because it's like at kind of major tournaments, at least the last ones that when I was going, I was like, I never really had nerves and then I don't know, like even playing Daigo and stuff like that, I didn't have nerves. I had nerves playing the people like or the guy before him, and then I think the last time I really had tournament nerves was like at one of our locals, like I think earlier this year, and it was just a matter of like, man, I haven't been in this situation in a while, and it was just one of those things. So
Yeah.
yeah, to go 2-2 at your first major, yeah, that's good because I know a lot of people like they are worried about kind of going 0-2. Like I don't want to go there and go 0-2, but it's just like you got to think with there's a what I think we were talking about like 33% of the people go 0-2.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah,
just like just like you said, like you can be happy about how you play and still go 0-2. And it's just like maybe you made a bad decision or something like that.
yeah,
I think I went 0-2 in my second Evo. Like it's for Street Fighter 4. Like so it's impressive that you were able to, go so far and almost qualify out in your first Evo.
yeah. I was so close to playing Angry Bird Day 2. That was like
Ah,
my one thing. I was like, I want to play Angry Bird. That's what I wanted, but it didn't
Yeah, yeah.
happen. So
yeah, I wanted to play
Uh,
Zaffarino. I would have if I had beaten WalnutCon, I would have played Zaffarino on day 3, or day 2, or I don't remember. No, no, yeah, it would have been later on that day, in round
yeah.
3 rather.
Who do they play now? Because I know they played Sim early on. Who are they playing now? Because I
Bison.
know they switched. Oh, they play Bison.
they were
Oh,
playing Jamie also.
oh yeah, Jamie. That's what I
Yeah,
think. That's what I saw. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
And one of the
oh,
other benefits of like the like the tournament atmosphere is that because we kind of go as a group, like Arizona, we kind of grouped up and we were Team Arizona, and so it was just really easy to just go find someone from Arizona to cheer on and to watch their matches and record their matches or help coach or get loud, do whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah,
we had a lot of like other players locally from Arizona that just did really well in pools. Um, so just jumping between like, 1 minute I'm watching Chase and barely seeing him qualify out and missing everything else, and then going to see Flappy and watching him fight Daigo, and then running to go look for Freezy or catching the end of Cody's pool, or Yuma's anybody from Yuma, like I ran around a lot, which is also traditional for like that part hasn't really changed since in the past like 14 years I've been going.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. I remember doing the same thing. Like I know Maynard was keeping track of the the players and stuff there. And then like when I'd go, like the thing I used to do is I always kind of I'd gather people's info, whether I'd look them up manually or I'd get it from them, and I'd always organize it by like the time slot, and then I'd put like the pool number and like what game they played. And then that way it's just like, okay, who's playing at 10 a.m.? What pool number are they? So that way you can look around and be like, what am I close to? Is somebody nearby? Or, if you're mainly interested in the game, who's the next person that's playing Tekken and where are they at? And it's like, the group thing is like, that's always been one of the most fun things for me, is especially like, just to see my friends and stuff play and support them and that kind of stuff.
It's a great medicine for turning nerves too, when your friends are behind you. I mean, depending on the person, some people, they could find it as undue pressure as well. But I don't know. There's just something, you turn it into a team sport in a lot of ways, and that's also not actually unique to the fighting game community. Like my father is a children's gymnastics coach in his spare time, and so like I kind of grew up watching him how he coached his kids at meets, and it's the same deal where it's not a team sport per se. You only have one athlete doing the event at a time, but seeing how the team comes together. I played tennis in high school, same kind of deal, where you have, even though it's a 1v1 sport, you can go and cheer each of your teammates on in individual matches.
Yeah, I always think that that support's great, man. It's just like, I sometimes feel bad for like the people that I see that are like kind of going around and like there's like a nobody with them at all, and I'm just like, you don't have like a single person that's just like hanging out with you, like you're just here. Just like so to like have like a group of people like cheering you on, or like when you do hit a cool combo, or you do something, make a great decision, and just like that's the best, man.
Yeah, John was at my pool, and he was like immediately like in my winners finals match was like immediately talking shit, like, look at the whip punishes on this guy, what defense. And I was like, hell yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I made sure that I wasn't shitting on your opponent and only complimenting on the things you were doing.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. But it was awesome, like, because I think John and Swift Milk were probably the loudest, at least out of like the two of them. Like, because I was streaming the matches to Discord, so I didn't want to be too loud and interrupt it. But when Freezy was winning matches, I was popping off a little bit more. But
that's what I heard, John, too. Like, when you were streaming the matches, like I really appreciated that, because I was just like, because I was like, oh shit, we could tune in and see what's going on, because otherwise, like, you're refreshing brackets, see if they're updating. That's how I was like looking at Chase, and I was like, oh, Chase won his first match. Like, I didn't see it, but it was like the bracket updated, so like that's gonna be right. So like, when you started streaming matches, I was, oh, this is awesome. I can watch Freezy's run, and then like I could hear, of all the voices I hear John's voice, and it's just like and
John, you got to keep the old ways alive, man. Arizona's always known for talking a ton of shit. Tucson barely showed up this time, so we had to fill that gap somehow. Tucson's always loud, But
the one that cracked me up was that Freezy was playing an Ed player, and like when he went for the dream combo, and like the dream combo, and like I see the level 2 come out, and then John's like, does he got those? And then it just like it drops, and he's like, oh no.
That's from Marvel 3. That's from Marvel 3. Anytime like you'd see like the beginning of a swag combo that you would see on Twitter, you'd be like, does he got those?
Yeah.
Like grammar goes to shit when I'm talking shit about fighting games. It's great, dude.
It was a lot of fun just running around, jumping between everybody's pools. Like, oh, Chase is over here, I'll go and try to stream a match there. And then if his game was like immediately after, I'm like, I'll stick around. And then Flappy played against Daigo, and then Freezy went on his run, which was awesome. Lost a gamer beat twice, which I thought was kind of wild. At least to be that early in bracket and lose to the same player twice.
Oh yeah, Freezy was definitely like the main character of Arizona this year, in my opinion. He got the farthest out of everybody else. He played really great against a bunch of top players, not just Gamer B. Like he beat Fatality, who was a DJ player, former Captain Falcon Smash player. Yeah, and again, like I'm seeing it from Freezy's perspective, where this kid grew up watching, 9 or 10 years old, watching this guy's YouTube videos, and now he's beating his ass in tournament. Like he beat him. And then Gamer B, obviously Gamer B is an esports celebrity at this point, and to see Freezy perform so well, but then also, frankly, get his ass beat by Gamer B later. You see, I it's one thing to like play and then have a lot of fun and have a monument of a match, I suppose. But like, it's another thing to watch and get a taste of when a top player truly adapts to you, and seeing what that feels like. And I know that that's always a formative part of any competitive player. Knowing that there's a whole nother tier out there of people that can just push your shit in. It's the Goku problem, where it's like he's always looking for someone stronger, right?
And if you think about it, like Freezy's 15 and Gamer B's coming out party was 2010. That was 14 years ago.
Freezy was a year old.
Freezy was in diapers when Gamer B was having his coming out party, and it's the fact that Gamer B's still out there.
I want to take that a step further, and Gamer B actually took some time to talk with Freezy to give him advice and shared that exact story that he said. My career was made in Evo, and then we all kind of related. Yeah, we were there for that, Adon and Elena and all that other stuff, right? And I just like. Those role model conversations that basketball players have, and like those pro athletes are like stand up dudes and nurturing of the future generations. Like Gamer B's, he's a fucking boss. He was very, very pleasant, polite, nurturing. I think probably the wrong way to put that. But.
The first thing he said to Freezy, like I wouldn't know if it's the first thing he said, but he's like, he asked how old are you, and Freezy told him 15. He's like, I'll see you in the future. Yeah, which I thought that was sick. I mean, it was a little bit early in the future for him to run into him again in bracket, but that was probably the coolest part for me, is to see Freezy have that interaction with Gamer B. Yep. And then even the match before Gamer B played Freezy the second time, Gamer B was like right next to Freezy and kind of popped off a little bit when Freezy won.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see. He
was invested in the outcome because he knew who he had to play.
He knew he had to play. He'd much rather play the guy he's already played, but like, I don't know. I guess in my mind, I'm not thinking competitive nature there. I'm thinking, maybe he's excited that the kid's doing beating some ass in this tournament.
Yeah, the inverse is true. Is when you're at a certain level, it's also just beautiful to see when the younger generation rises to challenge you.
Yeah. Because it's not like the first game with Gamer B was like a stomp. Like Freezy, I think it was last round. Yeah, he almost beat him.
And then again, the shift in adaptation there. Surprised it was the jumps. Sorry, Freezy, it was your anti-airs again. That would be my main piece of feedback there. Unsolicited feedback on a public forum. So. But maybe we should run through some other results too, though. Like Big Mac Combo also qualified out of his first round pools. He was eliminated at the same spot I was, where he was about to qualify into third round pools, but he lost to Eita, who is a fantastic Japanese player. Been around since Street Fighter 4.
Real quick before we jump into that, I did send you a photo of Gamer B back in my first Evo back in 2011.
Okay.
So my friend that's pictured there, when you pull it up, that's my friend Ori. He was an Adon player at that time too, and we actually saw him, I think, when he came into the hotel, into the Rio at the time. And I remember he introduced himself. He's like Ori Watts, Adon player. This is basically the year, after Gamer B's coming out party, and this was during at Evo 2011 at the Rio. So
just famous enough to be recognized, but not used to dealing with the attention yet. You can tell from his facial expression. The man that we saw last weekend exuded confidence to the point where he would be willing to mentor our wonderkins in our local scene here.
That's cool, man. Like that's great to hear, because I know he's done a lot for his local scene too, almost like Xian in Singapore and stuff like that, in terms of growing the scene where he's at and promoting the players. And I think they've even had one of the tournaments in years past was in that area.
Mm-hmm. And
that's awesome to hear. Yeah, so you were talking about Big Mac, and then the results that he had.
Yeah. So he got 193rd as well. And then Flappy was also the other notable one in my mind, where he qualified into round 3 pools but lost immediately to Adrian Riven. He lost to Daigo and Adrian Riven overall, but I think that probably puts him at like 150th or whatever that number is.
The next block, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got 129th.
129th. There you go.
129th, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be like our highest ranking players, which so it'd be Freezy with I think he got
97.
97th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Flappy, and then Chase and me.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple other people that also qualified into round 2 pools. Shout outs to Musa Keita for qualifying in losers, Ish, aka Bubba Mode, for qualifying in losers. And I think that might be it. I actually want to make a point about that too, is that in addition to I've been talking a lot about how it's great to cheer on your friends and how to have the big Arizona contingent and whatnot. This was probably the smallest Arizona contingent I've seen for a mainline Street Fighter game in a while, and I attribute that to just the change in venue and the fact that this was so much more expensive than previous years.
Yeah.
But like, I remember pulling up the list of players that we had, and I was just like, I'm the oldest person there. Or Josh, me and Josh and Maynard were probably the oldest people there that were, rather the most tenured in the fighting game community at the very least. That's weird. That's weird. I miss Rick. I don't know what happened with Scott or with Rick or like any of our OGs, the Tucson guys, people from I'll take more people from my generation even, but it just it felt like it was Arizona didn't really come out as much this time around. Even in other games, like a lot of our anime mainstays, like Marvin and Wrath, weren't there. Steven Will Get Paid was there for Tekken, but I don't think Sean Dude was there. I'm not sure. Just Tucson in general, I didn't see anybody. Even somebody like Velociraptor, who you'd think would be there for his job, no. And I'm not trying to call anybody out individually, but just more that I miss those guys. So it's kind of all we could really do is Guapo Kami too. I apologize for thank you for bringing that up. Guapo Kami also qualified out in second round, or qualified to the second round with his Rashid. I do not remember who he lost to, but I think he did lose to a named player too. He lost
to a Guile. I know that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because in terms of for me personally, it was kind of more limited time off. I had other plans and stuff that I had.
Sure.
Cost wise too, typically it's usually me and my wife that go, and then when I looked at she wasn't going to compete, she would have just volunteered or something like that. But then when I saw spectator passes were $200 too, I was just like, holy shit, that's a little much.
I mean, everyone's got their own individual circumstances, but that price definitely gets factored into it,
Yeah, I know it's Scott. Scott had that big trip to Kenya with his family, and then shortly thereafter, his father-in-law passed away, and he had to send his wife back out there. So it was a big financial thing in terms of that. It's not cheap to fly halfway across the world. So I know that played a big factor in why he couldn't go.
Yep.
Rick, I think, wanted to go. I think he's got other things that were going on as well. But yeah, I'm hoping. I don't know. I was really interested in to see the feedback from you guys, and then also my friends from Alaska, and how things were run this year, particularly with the arena and stuff like that. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I know you wanted to talk about the Alaska group too, because I kept track on all of my friends from there, and they had a huge group. I thought it was so initially typically they do shirts every year. We always did something like that, and he had. I saw my friend Banky that we had on the podcast before, and he posted up the shirts that they had, and on the back of it, I counted 40 characters, and I was like, "Holy shit, you guys got 40 people coming!" Somebody was like, "No, we have 60." The others just didn't want to be on the shirt or whatever, and they posted a photo of the group, and I was like, "That's a lot of fucking people to come from Alaska," and airline tickets and all that stuff.
Did they just book a private jet to fit all 60 of them in at the same time? That's insane.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
I'll pull that picture up right now. Actually, I've got that picture. Jesus
they had a huge group of people.
Massive.
Yeah. So one of them. Eventually I could fly that private jet. So I don't know. We might have to chart. Yeah, so they had a big group. One of their guys, he goes by Jed. He's actually worked for Evo, I think, for about 10 years now. He's a Vegas local. He used to live up in Juneau, Alaska,
Oh,
and
nice.
he moved to Vegas, and he's worked with like the Luxor with their the esports arena in the past. He's worked with Evo, the kind of doing like the production and like the graphics and stuff like that. And then he works with like the local sports teams too, with like the Las Vegas, the Golden Knights, the hockey team, and then
Oh,
also
wow.
like the Aces, the WNBA team. So he's been down there, so he's in that picture too. So he's not, he didn't fly down, but he's part of the group that that's there too. But yeah, they had a huge group come down. My friend put together this this website uh, where basically he put in everybody's like schedules and I sent you that. Actually, I'll send you I don't know if you still have that link, but
That's yeah, that might be buried in our chat. I might not have that.
here, I'll send it to you right now. But like, yeah,
Okay.
basically, it was a whole thing like tracking like the schedules, kind of like what I said, like what I used to do with the spreadsheets in terms of like the times, and then he linked over to their brackets and stuff, and then it was basically, what do you call it, the API, right?
Yeah,
The
Smash GG API.
Yeah, the Smash GG API, and kind of leveraging that to pull up the results and stuff. So as the results were posted on the website, so you could click on any of the players there, and then it'll show like their pools, and then their results and who they played and what the scores were and all that stuff, and then their standings.
Nice.
That's
Yeah, I
sick.
mean, all you need is a single ID for every person here. This is pretty awesome. Like a lot of this is just like raw web design. So
Yeah,
good for whoever made this. This is badass.
yeah, that was by my friend Bombi. That's actually Banky's older brother. He's
Nice.
always been pretty tech savvy, always running like the streams and stuff for the Alaska guys, doing stuff like that. So yeah, it was really awesome to kind of keep up with them through that website. I was checking that website all the time. It was between like the times that I was awake. It was between the Spiral Series Discord and trying to see what the hell's going on over there, and then like refreshing that website and trying to see what's going on over there. It's like, hey, who's playing who?
Yeah, I know you mentioned it earlier, but I do kind of want to call that out as like I've been talking a lot about things that how it used to be and like traditions and whatnot. But something brand new that happened was the ability to stream it to the Discord server. Like Cody, like that,
Mhm.
I've never seen that anybody ever do that in our scene. And so the fact that we were able to kind of pull a lot of the Arizona people along with us remotely, um,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's stuff like that that really unifies the scene. So awesome. I'm glad we were able to do that, and I hope we can do that in the future too.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah,
he posted like he reminded me that I actually did that at Game On X though.
Oh, you did a game
yeah,
on too?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
tight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's where I
Okay.
got the idea from because I remember watching Freezy's match against I think it was Dat Boy at
Yeah.
Game On,
Hmm.
and also I got my dog's barking. Let me go find out what he
That's
wants.
all good. Yeah, and then like yeah, because I remember like yeah when I was at Game On and then like yeah discussing like people's in the Discord with people like what was going on, and I was like, you know what, I could stream some of this stuff. And like yeah,
Yeah.
it was that match. I think especially like Chris G being there of all
Yeah.
things, so people were interested in watching like the matches with Chris G. So like yeah, I streamed what I could that day,
It's
and I
wild,
kind of
dog.
forgot about that. So like yeah, when Cody brought it up, and I was like, oh, I got the inspiration from you, and I was just like, oh yeah, I did do that.
I mean, we used to be in an era where like we wouldn't get cell phone service in these venues, let alone, like
Yeah,
free internet and the ability to like stream high definition video.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's why that was one of that was like my biggest tip was like screenshot like stuff that you need, and then
Yeah.
like it seems like everybody had great connections in there. So I was like, well, I guess that's maybe a maybe a tip from back in the day. It's not
Dude,
really relevant anymore.
there was a Cox business like it wasn't even a booth. It was like an actual like store within the convention center that was just there. And then if you connected to the Wi-Fi, like they gave you Wi-Fi via Cox Business. Um, so like
Oh,
I guess they're a
nice.
sponsor of the convention center in a lot of ways because but and then AT&T was also like a major sponsor of Evo. Like we're in bed with telecom companies now too. Like
Yeah, it's funny. Those are the two. Like I just canceled Cox today to get AT&T fiber. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of Cox Communications either. They screwed me over pretty bad in my last place. So
yeah.
hopefully I don't ever apply for a job there. This is now out in the world.
You gotta watch out nowadays if you're looking at your socials.
Well,
Dude,
they
yeah,
were
they changed. They're scouting my replays. Future employers scouting my replays.
Man, have that in your application. Do you host
Yeah.
a podcast at all? What is the name of that podcast?
That actually has come up before. People at my work know I host a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Hey, that's
yeah.
crazy.
We're popular. More people listen to this than we thought. So thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Back to
Oh
the
man.
Wi-Fi thing though. To sign up for that 2XK Alpha Lab, you had to be connected to their Wi-Fi. Like you weren't
Smart.
originally. Like you had to. You could just go and take a picture of the QR code and get in.
Survey.
But
Yeah.
I think after a while, they're like, why are we getting so many people signing up that aren't here?
Yeah, because you can just share the URL to anybody you
yeah.
want, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So they required you to be on the Wi-Fi at least for day 1, day 2. I don't know about day 3, but day 1 and day 2 they required it.
That's a very smart way to solve that problem. You
yeah.
whitelist by IP, and if everyone's on the Wi-Fi, they all have the same IP.
Because I get that. Yeah, I got that reminder about the survey because I forgot I didn't do the survey, like the initial sign up, and then I was just like, "Where'd you hear about this?" And I was like, "There's a checkbox for like Evo booth," and I like made sure to check that one just in case.
Just in case, like, oh, maybe this guy just forgot to do the second survey.
Yeah.
I'm down to talk a little bit about 2XKO, by the way, because I didn't even play it. I walked by the booth. The line was too long. I said, "Fuck this!" I scanned the QR code and then walked away.
if I wasn't watching pools or walking through Artist Alley, I was in line for 2XKO.
Oh man,
yeah, it was I loved it.
So,
it was great.
Well, I figured like because there's a lot of some of the people helping develop that game, are from the FGC, obviously the canons and stuff like that. But then you also have like top players like Clockwork, and then also like Marlin Pie. I heard was part of that too. I saw a picture of Clockwork in the booth. I think in one of the like the tweets or something from Riot Games. So like, it was cool to see him there. I'm sure he was gonna go anyway. It's like, you work for a gaming company. We're putting out a fighting game. It's Evo. Like, why wouldn't you have Clockwork attend too and like get to see his friends and like get people talk to people about the game and stuff like that. I didn't even know Marlin Pie was there until afterwards because I guess he won. What's the other Guilty Gear game? Xrd. I think he won Xrd at Evo.
Oh, or Accent Core maybe, or Plus R rather.
No, I think it was Xrd. I'm pretty sure it was Xrd.
It's Xrd. Wow. Okay. I didn't even know he played Xrd. I met when I was warming up for my pools. I met Up to Snuff, who is a well-known Street Fighter V player. He was in season 1 of SFL for Street Fighter V, and I didn't even know it was him at first until he slowly started. I asked him more questions about like what his background was and stuff, and he said Street Fighter, and I was really surprised to hear Street Fighter as a background because usually I think Marvel players are working on 2XKO. And then I found out he was Up to Snuff. And so he's working on Braum, I think, primarily. But I think there was another character he named that I can't remember. But he was the gameplay director battle director for Braum, which is super cool. Or whatever the SME name is for that.
Oh, and then
worked on Braum.
Speaking of people that worked on the game too, like you guys got to meet Cody. You and Maynard got to meet. Who was the guy that you guys met?
Unconquerable. He's the head director of 2XKO.
Oh, okay, it's because he's an old friend of Ha.
Yeah, of Offensive. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, they knew each other from back when they worked Ha worked at Blizzard, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I guess one of their interests, shared interest, was fighting games, and then I guess they hit it off pretty well back then. Nice. But yeah, we showed up and he looked for him, found him, and the next thing you know, he's showing us some cool shit to do with Yasuo and Ari, which was that was really cool.
How does the game feel to you? Like, are you enjoying like how it plays or?
So I enjoy it. I'm not familiar with tag fighters as much. I played a little bit of UMVC3 and MVCI, but I'm not like real big into them. And you were kind of forced to play the 2v2 format just so they could get people in and playing the game. So every match was basically 2v2. I think I played 1v1 game with my friend day 3 or day 2. I can't remember. And we kind of were figuring out how to do assists and all that. Like me and Maynard played a lot together, and we were kind of getting a good little synergy going near the end. But overall, I think the game feels great. I love their little systems that they have, where you can kind of have like different choices. One of them is literally a beginner friendly one. It's just auto combos,
Yeah,
um, which I thought helped a lot of people kind of really get to experience the game more, which I feel is
yeah,
important, at least at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I think the game feels great. I look forward to messing around with the Alpha Lab here in the next couple weeks, and getting more hands-on solo gameplay of it, because solo feels a lot different than when you're playing with a
yeah.
teammate, because you don't control the assist, or you control the assist when you're not in, but when you're in, you don't control the assist, so you're relying on your teammate to know when like the best time to go in is.
Yeah,
But
that was back when Cross Tekken came out. Like I know 2v2 was something that a lot of people were interested in. They did, they had an Evo with that too, and it was one of those things where I think in Cross Tekken, like either one of you could tag in at any time, but yeah, definitely, you definitely had to have a little bit of synergy because otherwise, like if your teammate wasn't ready or didn't know like when they were going to come in, it was like, oh shit, what do I do here?
yeah, that was the big issue. Like, because the first time I played it, I was by myself, so I was trying to figure out how to do assists. They were trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to. Everybody at the table was trying to figure out how to do assists. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, overall, I think the game feels great. It feels closer to finish than what I thought it would be. There's a
Yeah.
couple like UI things that I think need to get tweaked. Like, so in the victory screen, it's, in most fighting games, it's like the character saying something or some
Yeah.
along the, it's some high pitched, like, I don't even know like what kind of voice it is, but it's like very high pitched saying like, "Oh, Yasuo wins" or something like that. And I was like, that's a little
Mhm.
weird. I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to have the characters voice it, but I understand it's still early.
Are
Yeah.
any of the characters voiced right now in the build that you played?
Yes. As
Oh, they
far
are.
as far as I can tell, every character was voiced. I only played 4 of the characters, but I played against every character, and as far as I can remember, they were all voiced.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet about like I don't know if it was how true it was, but they were talking about what were they talking about in terms of like the setup. It was just like the stick setup had
Oh
a
yeah,
shorter line than the leverless one.
yeah, it was bad because like people would get out of the stick line, go in, play, get out, come back into the stick line, basically just walk right in back to the same station they were at. So we did
uh,
that for a bit, like because we were playing with Ha, who is he doesn't want to play leverless, so
yeah.
we just went in with stick, and yeah, we went in like 3 times, like in the matter of like 15 minutes. I would have stuck around with stick just to play the game more, but I wanted to get the experience on leverless. But
Yeah.
yeah, that I was gonna bring it up. Like the pad and the stick lines were always the shortest. Leverless always had the line, which I was like,
So,
wow, how far we've come.
yeah,
Yeah,
sign of the
seriously.
times, and like yeah, that's the thing.
Because I remember when I first like met John, he was playing on Hitbox. I'm like, oh, Hitbox is so cool. I want one and all that. And they were kind of hard to come by back then. Now, shit, you can buy one on Amazon for like less than $100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
talking about that Hot 42 one?
Yeah, which
Yeah.
Man,
it looks good.
it looks stellar, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it,
That
it,
and like the go ahead.
if it had native PS5 support, I would buy that in a minute. Like, it
Mm.
just you gotta
Hmm.
do like a little adapter thing, which isn't the end of the world, but like, I don't like screwing with that stuff if I can help it.
Yeah, I was gonna say and then the other thing is like I mean you got that stuff like the cheaper stuff there, and then you got even cheaper stuff like with the emergence of 3D printers and stuff. You got people on Etsy doing custom stuff for like $50-$60, printing out their own controllers. A lot of the PCBs, especially what do you call it, the 2040, the GP 2040.
Oh yeah,
um
yeah.
yeah, a lot of people are using that in their own custom builds. So, and then I think Brook has that like those new smaller PCBs. So you're gonna start probably seeing even like smaller controllers or even things built with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I
The
picked up a.
snack boxes are so minimal, right? That the like the Brook board is built into the PCB on that snack box.
Yeah,
I picked up a Brooks board for my Hitbox, so I no longer need the converter, which I'm looking forward to. Because I can't
Nice.
tell you how many times I've forgotten it at home and had to run back and get it.
Yeah, I have my for the dub stick. I have the 2040 with like the dongle, so I don't need the converter anymore. So that's awfully convenient.
You know, it's funny. Like, I actually this reminds me that I didn't actually explore enough of Artist Alley to even see any of the stick modding booths. Like, it was like a flash in the pan. I went in, got like a gift from my sister, which I can actually show on the stream here.
Yeah,
I bought like it was like a Persona 5 jacket for my sister. Like, this was like a
nice.
collaboration with one of the booths, or Persona 3 jacket rather.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And then one of the other cool things that we got from as a gift from a good friend and also
Oh
a
yeah.
guest on the show
Yeah.
is the Absolute Guard print. It
Yeah.
is currently I haven't hung it up yet, so this is just a picture of it. But it's a Chun-Li and
Yeah.
Dhalsim print here. So I'm like, we're locked in, Benny. We can't change characters now.
I don't know about. I'm good. I don't know about you. You're the one always talking about. I want to play
Switching
Ken
the
and I want
I
to do
do want to
characters.
play Ken, dude.
this.
I want to play Ken.
I'm good. I might have a secondary, but as soon as my dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that and thought it was too perfect not to pick it up.
yeah. What
And
an interesting combo.
yeah, well, yeah. No, when John showed me that, I was just like, I saw a tweet or something where I was looking at that guy's booth, and I was looking around. I was just like, I wonder what a lot of the you get a lot of the typical Ryu Ken and stuff, and I was like, I wonder if he's got any sim art. And I saw that exact thing. So when John showed me that, I was like, holy shit! I was just looking at that.
Yep, that's destiny, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for that gift, Cody.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
yeah, that's awesome. I know that there was they had a panel for 2XKO and they were talking about kind of like the I guess the um how the champions and stuff were going to be available because I think they were going to try to monetize basically through like costumes and stuff, right? But like
Hmm.
I think all the champions were going to be basically freely available.
Uh,
Was
from
that
what I
right?
gathered, yeah, because I didn't get to catch the panel. I watched it like through Twitter later. But from what I gathered, as all the characters are going to be free at launch, and then you're going to have costumes that you can pay for. The thing that I am curious about is I'm wondering if they're going to do it similar to League of Legends, where League of Legends you can buy the characters over time after gaining like in-game currency. So I'm
Yeah,
wondering if that's how they're going to do DLC characters, or if they're just going to let them be free and then all the monetization comes from skins. Because God knows Riot thrives off of skins.
yeah. No, I did see something about them. I think it was like you could unlock all the characters in game. It would just take you or something or unlock something. And it would just take you a long time or something like that. I'd have to find like the information that I saw.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it more. I didn't get much time to really read into it.
I feel like if you're gonna play this game competitively, like they're gonna offer some kind of pass to buy all the characters in a bundle. It might be
Yeah,
time
Yeah, yeah,
limited, but they got to do that at launch, I think. Uh,
yeah.
if anything, for local tournaments, like it would. Like I would be surprised if the game that the Cannon Brothers worked on screwed over local organizers. Like that just
Yeah,
doesn't seem to mesh well.
yeah.
But I mean, there's a couple of other. Speaking of getting screwed over, though, there's a couple of other like things that have happened that happened throughout Evo as well. And like before we
Yeah.
even talk about the finals day, I want to go back in time a little
oh,
bit to day one, where I wake up and my phone is exploding because Y2K happened.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I was gonna bring that up initially too, like the whole
Yeah,
crowd strike, crowd strike thing with the airlines and stuff, and it was the craziest thing because I was at work. I work at nights, and it
yeah,
was like 2 in the morning or something, and I was working near the airport, and we have this like this facility where a bunch of like the commercial drivers lift and all that stuff hang out, and I went into the area for the bathroom. They have these two TVs up, showing like the flights and when they're coming in and stuff like that. And I walk in and I see the Windows blue screen on one, and I'm just like, recovery, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, oh, that sucks. And then the other one's like, can't connect the server. And it's like a generic screen, and I'm just like, I didn't think anything of it. We went to the bathroom, came back out, and then I was like chatting with my wife, and then like I'm scrolling through Twitter, and then I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden I see somebody tweet about something weird's going on, and he's posting up the blue screen of death, and I'm like, holy shit. I was like, I just saw that. And it's just like, and then he starts like, I was looking through the tweet thread and it was like, this is happening in Germany. This is happening in India. This is happening. And it's like everything. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is huge. It's just like, what is going on?
Yeah, it could have been a
And
cyber attack or something at that point. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like you were watching it as it was unfolding.
yeah, so I was just like, I mean, who's up at freaking 2 a.m, our time?
Right.
I'm at work, so I'm like looking at this, and I'm just like, I'm telling my wife, I was like, there's some shit going down because like this is affecting everything. There's like bank websites and airlines, like, and then I saw that thing where like United, Delta, and American had grounded like all their flights, and I was like globally, and I was just like, holy shit, that's huge. I was like
That's
globally,
very
like
big, yeah.
Yeah.
they shut down everything, and I'm
Like,
just like, I don't know
there's
what the fuck's
posts
going on, but
there's posts on the our fighters subreddit where like people were like, I paid for Evo and I'm stuck in an airport. Like, that's it. They're done.
Mhm.
Like, they can't go. They're like, I think the earliest flight out was like Wednesday, so that's tomorrow, right? There are still people as of this recording that are staying at the Atlanta airport because they're stranded.
yeah,
Um, it's just like, this is weird that like, like real life news kind of creeps into our podcast, but like it
yeah,
impacted events like attendees at Evo. Like, of all the weekends, uh, that shit happens, and like you have others, like if families had weddings and stuff to go to, like just you wake up one day and saw like it's literally just a third party computer application pushes an update that bricks everybody's computers. We have no control, no agency over that. Even the airlines don't have agency over that. How
yeah.
ridiculous is that entire situation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. It directly affected like my friend Crucial from Alaska, Zach. So he was. I looked at his bracket because I didn't look at anybody's brackets ahead of time, and then like I think the day before I started looking through, and I was like, I wonder if any of the AK and the AZ people are on a collision course, and he was going to be on a course with Rika Riedman, who recently moved to the East Coast.
Mhm.
That's from Arizona, and I saw on Twitter that she was going to be delayed, and then it was like, oh, not going to make it in time to my pools. And I reached out to him, and I was just like, I don't know if you did bracket research, but Rika's not going to be here. And he's like, oh, really? Like, I was looking forward to it, and he was, he had looked into her gameplay. He's like, yeah, really good Aki. I was like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, I was looking forward to like seeing that match. So like when I heard that Rika wasn't going to make it, I was kind of bummed out because I was like, I was really looking forward to seeing how that was going to play out because I figured that they were going to beat each other.
Sure, that would have
So
been
can
a
you
really
guys?
cool match.
I gotta step away. My dog's being a pain in the ass. He needs to get fed real quick. I'll be like 5 minutes if that.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh no, you're
No
good. You're
worries.
good. Yeah. So in terms of the other stuff at Evo, I think the biggest thing. So day one and day two seem to be going great, and then um, day three when it came to so day three was probably the biggest change in terms of Evo from all the previous years that you've gone
Yeah,
because starting back in 2016, that was the first year of the arena at Mandalay Bay. That they had the convention center, and then Mandalay Bay was a separate ticket, and limited access, that kind of stuff. There's no third day of Evo anymore,
yeah,
and for a lot of people, like it was like, oh, cool, the arena experience was awesome, but then a lot of people missed out on the third day of Evo, and kind of hanging out and in the ballrooms and stuff like that. And up until this year they had that separate ticket, and I remember last year because I was looking through some of my tweets, and like there was a lot of people pissed off last year when they announced that the arena was sold out, and they were like, what
yeah.
do you mean it's sold out? I didn't know that there was a separate ticket. And I don't know, I was playing devil's advocate, and I was just like, one of my pet peeves is like when people really get upset and they're like, there's not information about this. So I would literally go on like the Evo website and find like the FAQ and be like, it says right here, you need to buy a separate ticket. Like, that's on you. So I was just like, uh, so their decision this year was to include in the, or basically force everybody to pay for that third day, right?
Yep.
And have the arena experience. It was to be included with that, but the problem was that they didn't limit access or have any way to limit access,
Yeah, it was
and
first come first
they
serve at the
also
arena.
didn't. Yeah, and they also didn't have the space to accommodate everybody, and
Yeah.
that to me was the biggest negative thing that I heard about day three was that if you weren't there for finals like at the very beginning, like you pretty much weren't getting in at all by the time uh, I think Tekken was starting or right at or somewhere around that time.
Yeah, that's how it worked for me. I was in line in like the not in the convention, but like in the entrance on the outside where there was supposed to be like a second entrance to the arena, and I
Mhm.
sat through all of Guilty Gear basically, and the line never moved. And once Guilty Gear ended, you're seeing a bunch of people leave, and then they didn't let a single person in from the line I was in. And then Hotto actually walked down our line and was basically telling us like the fire marshal says we're at capacity, you're not going to be able to get in. So I just said, yeah, I just said fuck it, I'm gonna go find a chair and watch it inside. Which getting chairs was a nightmare too. Like
Yeah,
we had to go and scrounge for some chairs.
that's what I saw on Twitter was a lot of a lot of people pissed off about that whole situation because it was people it's kind of they felt forced that they had to pay for that third day, and they were like me and John have had this discussion in the past in terms of like the importance of the arena to some people is just like that makes their weekend. Like I want to see the finals, I want to be there,
Yeah.
more than anything. And it's like if you're not able to do that, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, my weekend's ruined. I spent all this money to get here, and I can't even go watch Tekken finals or Street Fighter finals, which is like the main thing that I wanted to do with everything." And that really sucks. And I don't know. It's like I saw things about people like that had seats, and like I guess the bathroom situation in the arena was pretty bad because there's only one bathroom and male dominated event. Of
Yeah.
course, the line for the men's bathroom is going to be ridiculous.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's why people were leaving to go to the bathroom was because the line inside for the one bathroom there was crazy. Like people were talking about how they waited like 40 minutes. They're like, "Oh, I missed like 3 or 4 matches already just to stand in this line for the bathroom," which is absurd. It's just
Yeah.
like, and I don't know. It's just that seems to be. I saw a lot of people just generally pissed off, asking for refunds, and like I said, their weekends ruined and stuff like that because they couldn't get into the arena. And I think that was the biggest falter of this Evo was just kind of making, I guess, the making that whole venue general admission basically, and not having the capacity to fit everybody.
So if I remember right, when you bought your ticket, it even says like this does not guarantee entrance into the finals day arena.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like watching it on the con floor, to me, like because I watched it with John Maynard and my friends that came along, and
Mhm.
it was basically, from what I could tell, the same environment, more or less.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting the same kind of feel with like the stage and everything, but like just a community coming together, just watch something. And
Mhm.
to me, that felt pretty cool. Like I was upset I couldn't get into the arena, but after seeing some of the pictures and horror stories on Twitter, I'm kind of glad I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was my first time ever going to Evo and I couldn't get into the arena, I think I'd be pretty pissed, all things considered. Um,
Yeah.
Fortunately, I guess for me, like it wasn't my first time to the point where I have gone to every finals in the arena except for one year where I was ill. But I fucking hate the arena. I think it sucks. Because like my original opinion of like my original experience with FGC Evo events like has been we meet in a ballroom and there's casuals open and there's that fight for chairs is actually like a tradition to the point where it's actually a little nostalgic for me because that's what would happen is the casuals would gradually dissipate because people would want to see the more and more of the matches so they just jack the chairs from the setups and that's
Yep.
exactly what happened this time. And
Yep.
you know, uh, my experience with the arena is it's the arena to me is like the symbol of that feeling of the FGC has gone too corporate. Like I mourn the grassroots feeling every time I'm in that arena because it's like
Mm.
for what you had to buy separate admission, you had to like we weren't able to bring certain things in like you couldn't have like bottle caps on your water bottles and shit like random like Michael or like
Yeah.
random basketball game stuff. I just I'm at the I was at the point where like I've been to the arena so many times because it's also a pain in the ass to get in. As you stated earlier, Benny, it sold out last year. So in order to actually get the seats you want, you have to be there like hours and hours in advance. And I've had to see so much Super Smash Brothers and so much Tekken over the years. And those games are so fucking long. So long. It's like Smash Melee is the longest game to watch ever, and it's obnoxious, and I have no idea why there's 3 rounds in Tekken. Like, why? Like, anyway, so the point is the arena seats are also extremely uncomfortable, and like my wife's tailbone was like bruised the next day. I'm at the previous Evo. Like, it's just stuff like that where I'm just like, it's uncomfortable, it's loud, I don't have any flexibility. Like, you go in and that's all you can do because you're not getting the hell out of there because it's just too big of
Yeah,
a pain in the ass to get there. It's in a
yeah,
separate arena altogether, and up until this year there was nothing else to do that day. So
yeah.
like I came into this Evo knowing that I probably wouldn't go to the arena because they offered day 3 casuals. And I
Yeah.
got that exact experience that I used to have in the grassroots tournaments where I would be sitting at a station playing casuals from somebody around the world because everybody's there
Mhm.
playing casuals. Um,
Yeah.
and something crazy would happen in top 32 and we would pause the game, look at the stream for a little bit and watch that shit happen, cheer with everybody else, and then go back to playing more games and grinding and getting better and being able to say I played somebody from every continent in the
Yeah.
world, which I can say except for Africa. This year I played from every continent in the world, which is amazing. So the day
Antarctica?
Not Antarctica either, yeah, every populated continent, yeah. um, but I just like I got that grassroots feeling again, and I don't. So the other side of it here, and is I'll pull up the picture again, is like the actual finals, as you stated earlier, Cody. Like there was no wall between the arena and the convention center. Like
Yeah,
there's a
it was
black
just a
curtain,
curtain.
yeah, on the image that I'm showing
Oh,
right now.
okay. So it wasn't.
So
I got you.
the arena itself, all the volume and the roaring and the cheering and the booing and whatever else, right? Like all that stuff came through to us in the casual station. So we were there. We were in that environment. And at the end of the day, I was watching a screen that was showing me the match footage, which is the exact same thing that somebody sitting in the arena would see. So
Yeah.
again, I am a very small target audience here as a 14-year veteran to Evo, and so like I recognize that my experience, the experience that I wanted, was different than the average person's, but I got exactly what I wanted. And I feel for
Exactly.
anybody that didn't get exactly what they wanted if they were really dreaming of being in that finals arena.
Yeah. See, I think that for me was the biggest thing from last year. It was just like kind of seeing like how much that arena experience meant for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and like you said, like I think it's different because like I think for like the more veteran players or the people that have been like in kind of like the ballroom environments and stuff like that, like it's not as important. But you know,
It's a reminder of
as the
what we
scene
lost,
grows,
essentially.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like as the scene's grown and as like there's more casual people that are coming along, spectating, friends that are just tagging along, like Cody's friends or whatever. Like to them, that might be more important as the experience than playing casuals.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. To me, like I know there's been a lot of tweets since then, like those positives and negatives about Evo, and that's been the huge negative that I've seen from everybody. And like to me, I think the solution is that they have to somehow limit access to that and give people that experience that want that experience. And then because I don't think that I saw people talking about like I hope they go back to the arena next year, and I was like, I don't think that's going to happen if they want to do this 3 day thing. Like, they can't do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's enough people that want that third day experience with like the vendors and the casual setups and the watch parties. I guess what they had because they had some streamers and like influencers there, right? Like I saw Maximilian had a watch party thing there. The
Yeah.
RDC guys,
Yeah, they were
they
there.
had something going on there.
I,
So
I also want to say though, like when we say watch party, again, that's different than like the Super Bowl watch party where we're watching TV together. Like again, we were
yeah,
in the venue where that shit was happening and a live feed was being piped over. Like when they were doing those stream games, Everybody in the venue got screwed in a way because we couldn't participate because we were so far ahead of the stream because we were getting the live footage. So
Oh, okay.
it's really I think it's a little bit of a gray area as far as calling it a watch party because again I felt like I was there, and we were there,
Yeah.
and again fundamentally we were seeing the exact same thing that everybody else was seeing in the arena.
Well, talking about
Yeah,
the,
it didn't
I know
even
you
feel like
wanted
that.
to. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it didn't even feel like there was a delay between the arena and where we were at either. Like once the
No.
cheers happened in there, they were happening out there. So it's not like we were getting like a slight delay.
Yeah.
And that to me actually conveys the size and the sheer scale of our community now more than anything. Like I got to hear the entire convention center erupt, not just an arena.
Yeah.
So again, it's
That's
everyone's got
awesome.
different expectations for what their vacation should be. I think that if you fit more my profile as somebody that's been going for a long time, Evo to me got better. It felt like it's a bit of a monkey's paw because like I was so down on the increase in price, but I am now aware of what that money went to, and that it went to a third convention day, which I love, casuals day, which I loved. They went to a Resorts World, the Vegas Loop, all that stuff. Like it fixed all the issues that I had with last year, with the exception of there was no gamer water sponsorship, so that sucked. The
Yeah.
tap
Oh, yeah.
water at the
That was the
venue
other
sucked.
thing.
Yeah, there was no hydration station. So if you wanted to,
Yeah,
you had to leave the convention, go to one of the water fountains outside, which there was always a line for.
yeah, and then shitty
Okay.
ass
Yeah.
Vegas tap water.
Yeah. That was the other criticism I saw too. Was just like, yeah, get more water stations.
Yeah,
But yeah, and I mean, in terms of that whole arena thing, yeah, I think the solution is because the way that they're advertising it, yeah, you got to put that disclaimer, like Cody said, like you're not guaranteed access, but it's just like if you're gonna have something set up that way and not want people disappointed, like you have to have some way to limit access to certain people or the people that want to get in, right? Because
hmm
otherwise, if you're gonna make it general admission, you've got to have seating for everybody. So like if you sell whatever was it 10,000 plus attendees,
yeah.
you got to have room for 10,000 plus attendees, and that's probably not feasible. This is why I
Mm.
think that they might have to have like a different price tier for this includes registration plus arena access or spectator plus arena access, because that
I
way
think
you can guarantee those people get in that want to get in.
I think that's the route they're going to go next year. Is they're just going to charge separately for the finals arena again, and then the
Yeah.
limit the amount of tickets they sell. But um, so that's how they fix it next year. But I actually am curious of like, do you guys think that they need to do anything to fix it for this year? Like, do they need to make it up to people in any way? Are we going to see an apology tweet? Are we going to see any kind of refunds? Like, what would you guys
Well,
see in that or want in that scenario?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think at least in terms of refunds for trying to get into the arena. Like I said, if I remember correctly, when I bought my tickets, it says this does not guarantee access to the arena. So trying to get a refund for day 3 because of that, I doubt you're gonna get, because that's a risk you take. Other than that, I mean, the food court options, I guess, like there wasn't a whole lot, at least in terms of food. But I've never been to Evo. I don't know what the food options normally are.
I thought the food was better than the Mandalay Bay Convention
Okay.
Center, but it wasn't. By no means was it by much. I actually learned some tech from T Dot and Brittany. Is that they ordered Uber Eats or the DoorDash. They had Chiba Hut delivered, and the Chiba
Ah,
Hut for both of them, both of their sandwiches cost less than my fucking chicken tenders, including the delivery fee.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so they just had it. They had it delivered to the convention center, and to them, it's just walking up to the door, and it's not even at a hotel, so you don't have to walk very far.
Yeah, you
Um,
can just meet him there.
so that might be the tech for the future. But yeah, that food court sucks ass.
Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't great. Like, yeah, I didn't. In terms of food court food, it wasn't bad, but like,
It
and
sucks
then
less ass than Mandalay Bay, but it still kind of sucks ass.
Yeah,
The
there was
Resorts
a
World food court was good though. That was good. I like that.
what else were you gonna say, Cody?
then they also had like a big Chipotle lounge in the middle of like
Oh,
everything, and I hardly
sponsors.
saw anybody there. I'm like, what? Like, I feel like you could have put something else here.
I didn't
Like,
even
you
see
have
that.
Yeah,
Like,
it
were
was
they
like
actually
right.
serving Chipotle?
No, it was just a lounge. There was no
Oh,
Chipotle. It was like a bar, I think. But like
Ah,
it was right behind, where the showcase stage was. It was like right across
yeah,
from that. It
yeah.
was right across from that. And then they also had a Garu stage. So that's one thing. I wanted to play the new City of Wolves, but the line for that was like 2 hours long. I was like, I would just rather get in the 2xKO line and just go in 15 minutes later and play it
well, you
rather
know what?
than.
I think that tweet that I saw about the stick setup versus the leverless one. I think it was about City of the Wolves. Actually, I don't think it was about
Well,
2XKO.
I mean, to be
But
fair, the 2xKO one did have that same thing where like if you were playing on stick, you just got to go right in.
yeah,
I didn't even
that's
bother
a
getting
that's
the Garu line. I was like, this I'm never getting in because I got other shit I want to do. The arcades was pretty cool. I didn't get to really mess around with it too much, but the arcade section seemed pretty good size and it had like a good variety of games.
Wow.
But like
I
yeah.
overall, I didn't think there was anything worthy of getting a refund. There were plenty of bathrooms. So, I mean, yeah, you had to leave the arena to get water, but
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah, if this, I was gonna say that if there's one thing that I think that I hear from most people with the Hado with Rick running Evo now, or kind of being the face of Evo now, is like a lot of people have faith in him to correct things and to fix things, and he did put out like an apology tweet about the third day. Um, and there's a mixture of people that are like happy with the experiences. There's one people that are expressing faith and that he's going to be able and he's going to do what's right or what he thinks is how to fix things like you said for next year.
yeah.
I don't think there are people in there that are just like, what about the extra $100 that I paid for the third day and I couldn't get into the arena? And it's just like, I mean, I honestly I don't know what what you could really do about those people because like you can't really give refunds about it because I mean there's legal disclaimers and stuff like that for that kind of thing. So I mean, there's going to be people that are just going to feel sour about that, maybe try to charge back things with their credit card company or whatever. And I mean that's unfortunate, but it's just like I don't know. It's lessons to be learned as part of like the growing pains. But it is that was like I said initially, like I really want to try to make Evo next year, but I was really interested in like how, especially going back to the convention center and this new arena setup, how things were going to look. And it's really nice to hear like what your perspective of it, John, and the fact that like you said, it's kind of going back to that kind of grassroots and the whole
Yeah.
casual setup thing. Like I love that thing more than
It
I would
caters to
I
us,
would care
dude.
to be in the arena. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely prefer that instead of having to be in the arena.
I wanted to ask you, like, how was the stream experience? Because that's something that neither Cody nor I were able to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the stream experience as a whole, like I was actually like I was watching it more on YouTube than Twitch. Just because like Scott put me onto that too because I got YouTube Premium and it's just like it's a lot easier to kind of like scroll back, and you find a certain area. In Twitch, like when things are live on Twitch, like unless something got clipped, like you gotta wait till the VOD comes out and then you can go check it. On YouTube, you can just be like, oh shit, let me scroll back and then jump to live whenever you want to. So I was watching it on YouTube, and I think that the view experience for me, I actually was pretty happy with it because like even though they were taking breaks, the breaks were relatively short. Like I think that they, other than like the transitions between pools, like they'd put the timer up and they'd be like, hey, we got whatever 20 minutes or whatever. Then you'd see the ads at that time, and I'd be like, okay, well I got 15-20 minutes till the next pool rolls around. But like the kind of like in between match breaks, like those were still, I wouldn't say that they were frequent, but they were much shorter as well. Like I don't think that they were more than 5 minutes, if that. So it was like they'd segue into like, hey, we gotta play these ads or whatever. But it
Yeah.
was like probably like 5 minutes total, and then it was like back to matches. So it didn't feel like as terrible as I think it was at like Capcom Cup with
Okay.
like that kind of stuff. So
Do you
I
think they
was I was
figured out
pretty
the
pleased with
formula?
like I was pretty pleased with that, and like just the fact that like I understand like you guys got to play ads and that's fine, but it's just like I don't want to see 10-15 minutes in between matches when I know that there's a ton of matches going on.
Yeah,
What?
so I think one thing that helped with that is that they had like a little side table set up for stream matches, I think. because at one of the stages that they switched from, I believe it was Third Strike or something, they switched it from that to Street Fighter once the pools had ended, and then there was like the main setup that was on the stage, and then there was a little side setup that they had the next game ready for. So they just basically switched it to that, so there was like no real in between time for the match, which I thought was pretty cool.
It seems like the stream side, like it's still a well-functioning, well-oiled machine. They've done that for years at this point, so they know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
I don't think I actually wanted to point out too. One of our AZ locals was featured on the stream, Natek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he unfortunately couldn't clutch it out, but it was cool that he got put on the stream. It's a running joke actually.
Oh yeah,
We always say,
I did see that match. Yeah, I did see that match.
we always say Wesker makes it on the stream. Nate likes to wear those sunglasses and make him look like Wesker sometimes. Or rather, that happened once. He wore those sunglasses. They put him on the stream, and everybody was like, "Wesker!" And he just keeps getting put on the stream. So, shout outs to Nate.
Yeah, I don't think I saw anybody else. Yeah, there was nobody else from AZ that was on the stream. And then, yeah,
No, at least not for Street Fighter. I don't know if anybody did for any other game.
yeah. I think some of the Alaska guys, like I don't know some of the ones personally that were put on stream. I think there was a couple of them for like Tekken and some of the other games.
Well, I think we're getting close to time here, so I kind of wanted to ask you guys just kind of closing thoughts or just general, like, what is your overall opinion of the event as a whole, and what does the future look like for you as far as your attendance at the event?
So for me, like I said, like I'm really hoping I can go next year. I don't know. It really depends on like what plans we might have the first half of the year, because that's usually what eats up all my time off.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, what can I scrounge up for like the rest of the half? And then like, because financially, like, yeah, I can sort that out and budget for that if I really want to go and do that kind of stuff. So it's just really depends on that. But I really want to go, especially seeing the huge group from Alaska. Like, I don't know probably 3/4 of the people there, but like, that's always a fun time to see the people that I do know, and then meet whoever's coming from the group. And then I also found out that AZ Jack, his brother's part of the Alaska group too. Like he's good friends with Banky. So I was just like, I didn't know that at all. And so I was like, yeah, because I guess he was asking if I was coming along. Yeah, and I'm just like, no, I'm not. I haven't been there in years, and I can't make it. But like I said, I was more interested in kind of hearing like what everybody's feedback was that was there, especially like the veteran players and the arena thing, the arena experience. So yeah, so if I could make it next year, I'll definitely try to go. I'm also itching to kind of like compete, because like to go into like those other majors.
Gave you the itch, yeah.
Yeah, those yeah, it did. Because I mean, like last week I told you I was taking a break, and then like I started playing yesterday. I was just like, yeah,
hey, he's back, he's back. Get that John Wick gif out.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Like I said in the previous episode, like Evo was always like the one major that I could go to, and like I really do miss being able to go there and kind of just and also play games too. So yeah. What about you, Cody?
I'm for sure going next year. I'm lucky enough at my current employment. Like I get way more vacation time than I know what to do with, so I can at least dedicate at least the time, like the Thursday, Friday, to travel, and then like this week I'm taking this whole week off. I'm like just in case, like I get like some sort of sickness from the convention, just so I can kind of fight through it before going back to work.
Wow. Yeah, and that's very smart. You got the reads.
Yeah. So and then but overall, like I'm very thankful that I went, because I was actually kind of worried because I was having some like car issues beforehand, and I was like, man, this is gonna cost me out of going. And luckily the car issues were pretty easy to fix, and I didn't have to spend too much money, so I was able to go. But like next year, I'm like, I'm not going to Circus again. Fuck that. Like,
well, I mean, we'll find out, because they haven't even announced like venue wise and stuff like that.
That was another thing I was going to bring up. Like last year, if I remember right, they announced everything ahead of time, like where it was going to be, like with the dates and all that. This year, they didn't do that. They announced the cities that they're going to.
Yeah,
but they didn't announce.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting too, because they didn't even announce the venues or anything like that. So I'm wondering if they're kind of playing it by ear to see how this whole arena thing was gonna go, and then kind of see like, was this the right decision? Because it doesn't seem like they're kind of locked into that arena, kind of like Jabalia is with like the CEO. Like, you know, he had like a whatever 3 or 4 year contract with like Daytona at that other venue, but
Yeah.
so it doesn't seem like they're in that boat. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see like what their choice is going to be this year or next year.
I hope they keep it at this convention center. Like Resorts
Yeah.
World was too sick. I liked
Yeah.
it so much. My experience was fucking fantastic. As I stated earlier, it was the monkey's paw, in that now I know where the extra money goes, but the downside is that it priced out most of my friends, including people that aren't even part of the FGC. It's just like I go with my friend Eric every year, and then we catch up, and um,
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't go this year. And so
Yeah.
it's like it's that plus like missing the OGs plus so like the actual like social experience of like being with my friends and experiencing this thing together that is missing. That was missing this year. Granted, it was filled with pride in our younger scene still and getting to know like everybody that was there a lot better. Um,
Yeah.
like that's a bonding experience that you don't get to trade. You can't trade for anything, but that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm like, this was objectively better in every way. They fixed all the issues that I had from last year. It's just the downside is it priced out all my friends. So if they find a way
Yeah.
to mitigate that, such as selling arena tickets separately and maybe dropping the price on the third day a little bit, maybe we can find a happy middle ground. But man, I
Yeah.
hope it's still at the Vegas Convention Center so I can take that Tesla Loop thing and then get a nice hotel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Oh man, we spent all this time. I was like, we didn't even get a chance to talk about like how Street Fighter 6 ended and all that stuff. But like, just real quick, like I was real happy to see Punk win. Not even just like the whole US thing. Like, I talked about that. Like that was my last Evo was seeing him lose to Taquito, and like of course social media and stuff are gonna be like, oh, look at this guy crying, and I'm just like, dude, if you get to that point, like he's passionate about it, he puts the time in, he puts the work in, like to get to that point and to lose, like obviously you've never been passionate enough about anything, like if you
Mhm.
don't understand like what the emotions that he's going through, because like that's the same thing that anybody, whether they're prize fighting, whether they're playing sports and they lose the championship, your football team loses the Super Bowl, that kind of thing, that's all the same thing, right? You see your opponent's confetti coming down, and it's all that kind of stuff, and like I can relate, and I can empathize like with how he was back in 2017. So in tech, to see him kind of come full circle, like that was awesome, dude. And like honestly, like I think the biggest thing was just the fact that he lost 3-0 in the first set, and I was like, oh man, don't let it be this way. And then for him to clutch it out, and last round, last game, the way that he did, it was just like it was just that was like the craziest ending. And then to see him like console Angry Bird or Big Bird, because Big Bird's been in that scenario too, getting second
Mhm.
place before with against Bonchan in Street Fighter 5. So
And his brother
you
won
know,
last year.
yeah.
Are they
So
brothers or are they
Or
friends? I
buddies.
don't.
Yeah, training
Okay.
yeah,
partners.
no,
Apparently,
no,
this
they're
is
basically like
his
brothers. Like
training
Yeah,
they
yeah,
grew
brother.
up
yeah,
Yeah,
together. Yeah, they grew up together. They're basically brothers.
yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, just to see that kind of come full circle for him, and then just to see like the way he embraced Big Bird there, and it was just like like he knows that feeling all too well. And then like you could see like the emotion just hit him, and he's like, "Holy shit, I did it!"
So I think like one thing else I really liked is when they were just like trading level ones back and forth. Like
Yeah,
they would just like
yeah,
cut to them and they both be laughing and shaking their heads and
yeah,
shit. Like I thought that was pretty cool because if I remember right, they're both pretty good friends like outside of the game because they were
yeah,
on the
yeah.
same Street Fighter
I
League team.
actually, yeah, I rewatched the that match with Filipino Champs YouTube video, and it was a lot of like a lot of people were like, oh, like they were like, oh, this is over already or whatever. He's like, no, these guys are teammates, they're training partners. They were playing before Evo, like these guys know each other, and like yeah, you could see like the complete contrast between like how that first set was, and like you said, like the trading of the level ones, and they were just kind of like acknowledging each other and laughing about it, and just like, oh man, that was good shit, you know. Oh man, you would do that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then like you could see like the seriousness on their faces as you know things started to wind down.
Yeah. I think I shared this with you, Benny. Well, I was actually talking to you guys during the finals, in our group
Yeah.
chat, but I actually watched the finals with almost like an angry tone or like a dark cloud over my head,
Oh yeah,
because uh, I the top six was actually incredibly illuminating to me, just from a gameplay perspective. But I watched that top six as a competitor or as a player rather than a spectator, which is different than how I usually watch. Usually I'm with like my wife or I'm with my friend Paul or I'm with like a bunch of friends and I'm enjoying it as a spectator. But
yeah. Hmm.
like in recent for this game in particular, because this game is probably the best that I've ever played in a fighting game, and I feels like in a lot of ways six is the culmination of my fighting game career. Um,
Hmm.
and I found that the gap between top six versus my level of play was so large that I was kind of angry about it. And I
Yeah.
saw like there's little intricacies with how they use their drive that I noticed in top six that I don't do at my level. And so
Yeah.
I don't have to go too deep into the mechanics behind it, but at the very least, like there is this. I haven't gotten this feeling since Marvel 3. Marvel 3, I hated watching Marvel 3. I loved playing it, but I hated watching it because I would
Hmm.
watch it as a player and be mad that I wasn't up there. Um, and I think that like it's not like it's a bad attitude per se. Like I wasn't saying that they didn't deserve to be up there or any bullshit like that, but just more like the
Yeah.
competitive drive really got to me when I was watching it. So I agree with you in every point that you guys made as far as like Punk deserving it and whatnot. I just kind of wanted to put it at a different angle there. Um,
Yeah.
he's definitely grown up. He deserved it. He's been working his ass off, and it's a wonderful narrative, wonderful storyline. Um,
Yeah.
but I also have a vested interest as a player in this scene and knowing who this scene is produced as far as like Flappy, Big Mac, Freezy, Sia. Um, I I want I want them up there. I want to be up there myself. I want more for our scene than what we accomplished this year, and I hope that we can do that next year.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a great perspective in terms of like, yeah, because that's something I noticed too in terms of like the drive usage and stuff like that in terms of pressure. Like I saw, I think there was one sequence in particular where like Punk was trying to close things out, and like he had saved all his meter basically for the end, and it was just like he spent all of it just trying to get that kind of stray hit at
Hmm.
the end, because he was just like, okay, this is where I have the most advantage. This is where I need to try to capitalize, and like versus like what I typically see where people are like, oh, I got a hit, let me cash out and get some damage right now,
Hmm.
and then it's just like it's kind of a back and forth,
And
and
that might have been a successful tactic last season, but with the changes in how drive is accumulated or removed this season, I think the way they play, particularly how Ending Walker plays, it was very illuminating how they save drive. It looks like it's almost like if your opponent is under 33%, then yeah, you cash out. Not just if it'll kill, but like you burn DRC on block. But if they have more
yeah,
than that, then you go meterless combo as much as you can, and do not use DRC if you can help it. Um,
yeah,
which is
exactly.
huge. It's mind blowing, and that's
Yeah,
2 months in the making.
we'll have to talk more about that in a future episode. But before
For
we
sure.
close things out, did you have any shout outs or anything here, Cody?
I mean, just shout out like our scene as a whole. Like, I agree with John. I do think we have some really strong players that I think could be up on that stage at some point. It's just I feel like it's a collective effort for us all to improve in that to help them get there. Um, but yeah, like just this community as a whole has gotten me out of like a mental funk that I was in like prior to six coming out.
Okay.
So like that really helped me. So I mean, just big shout out to them.
Nice, awesome.
I don't stream or anything. Actually, I mean I stream tournaments every now and then, but
Um, before we close the show out, I also wanted to just kind of give one last special message to all of our listeners here. This is this is an inflection point every year after Evo. There's always an inflection point in our fighting game community because everybody sees Evo on stream, like people that like random people that don't even interact with our community in any way, shape, or form. They may just be exposed to Evo. They may be exposed to competitive Street Fighter for the first time. Our community tends to explode in popularity and growth for a little bit right after Evo, but we have this weird dichotomy where the top players who went to Evo, we are burnt the fuck out. So a lot of times you don't have like you have this sudden influx of new players, but nobody to greet them at the door because we're burnt out. And so I would implore everybody in our local scene to just be mindful of where we are at. You will likely be getting more and more questions about fighting games. Like when we go to locals, I bet TGZ is going to be packed this Friday.
Yeah.
And so like be welcoming if you can. I wish I could be a little bit less bossy about it, but the reality is that this is where our community grows the most. Some of our best players joined after Evo. Like Luminaire is a good example, who was on the show. We met him at Evo. He found out the Arizona scene existed, and then he started coming out regularly. My first tournament that I ever ran was called Here Comes the New Challengers, and it was right after Evo, and we had over 100 people enter that tournament.
Jeez.
So it's like, this is a time where the community has the biggest spotlight on it, and it's a time for growth. It's a time for celebrating the fighting games. Even if the top players are burnt out, we can still like grow the scene. We can still meet new people, and we can still be encouraging. Or we can gatekeep. We could also gatekeep and be like, you got to earn your way into the community, but have a game plan to how to greet these new players. We can take the tough love angle if we want, but at the very least, like don't be surprised when you can't find a setup at TGZ because it's packed.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'm gonna what was I gonna say? Oh, right. Yeah, I have to read this part. This has been the Absolute Guard Podcast, episode 87 with Jon, Benny, and Cody. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Spiral Series, YouTube at youtube.com/Spiral Series, and an Apple Podcast and Spotify under Absolute Guard. To everybody watching and listening, thanks very much, and to all the people that are going to be joining the community after seeing what Evo was about, you're in for it. Our grassroots scene is amazing. So, have a good night, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.
Bye.
You'll get